Welcome to the Insulite Health PCOS Inspiration Hour with Robin Nielsen, our Chief Wellness Officer. It's our meeting place to connect, motivate, and learn, where we empower women with PCOS to transform their lives through these powerful interviews with some of the world's leading experts on PCOS.
Hi, beauties. Welcome. It's so great to be here with you. We get to hear this music twice. I love it. It's so poppy, so fun. So it's so great to be here with you. Gosh, we have an incredible guest for you tonight. You know, one of the really tricky things with PCOS is that it's a lonely journey. You know, I know for me, gosh, I never knew that I didn't have to feel the way I was feeling, you know, and I'm sure that that's the way it is for you too. You know, I didn't know that, you know, being constipated wasn't right? It wasn't a healthy body. I didn't realize that getting acne as a teenager didn't have to be that way, right? I didn't realize that, you know, gaining weight at the drop of a hat wasn't normal. You know, I just thought that, you know, it was my struggle and something I had to get through myself, and I would figure it out. And so it's, you know, it's a lonely journey. And an Inspiration Hour was designed years and years ago for all of us to get a shot of inspiration, because a lot of times we don't believe that we can heal, right? We don't hold that belief for ourselves. But for those of us who have healed, we can hold that belief for you. So all you have to do is say, I believe because Robin believes, right? Or because our guest tonight, Mandy, believes, right? Because we know that it can happen for you too. And we know that if you just stay the course, if you follow our advice, if you show up, you keep showing up, right, to Tuesday Tip, to Inspiration Hour, you read the articles on our Facebook page, you follow us on Instagram, all those things, we know that you're going to heal too and feel exactly how you want to feel, right? So I'm so excited to share our guest with you tonight. And first, I want to make sure that that you know a few things. So I want to make sure that you ask questions. I want to make sure that you like this program. I want to make sure that you share this program with all of your sisters, because it doesn't matter if a woman has PCOS or not. All that matters is she knows that she can take care of herself to feel her very best, right? It was interesting. I was reading a post in our VIP Inner Circle today, which we're giving away a 1-month membership to our VIP Inner Circle. And so all you have to do is comment, like, and share, and we'll get you entered to win. I'll actually post after the program today the winner. You can only be entered once, though. We did have it where you could, you know, ask a gazillion questions, and we enter you that many times, but it actually became overwhelming. So, so now you know we'll enter you once, and it's an amazing community. But the question was, you know, that the person was feeling kind of ashamed and separate because she had to eat a special diet because she has PCOS. And, you know, she had to turn down foods that she loved. She had to, you know, say no to people who didn't understand her condition. They didn't even know what PCOS was. And so she was feeling down, right? She was feeling not whole. And that's why we come together here, is so that we can understand that we're more than whole. Right? We are more than whole. We are not only whole, but we are rock stars. And so what I explained was that when you start showing up in a bigger way and you really start taking good care of yourself, people notice. And they may say weird things to you, you know, while you're declining to have an alcoholic beverage, or while you're saying no to the donuts that are brought to the office. But then they see that you're kind of starting to rock it, right? And you are looking pretty, and Your skin is getting more vibrant and beautiful, and you have a little skip in your step, and your energy is really good, and your eyes kind of twinkle. And then they want to know what you're doing. They start asking you questions. So, what do you eat every day? What's your diet like? What supplements do you take? How do you look so good all the time? It's funny because I play competitive tennis, and all of my friends who play take drugs before the match. They take drugs after the match. They can hardly walk a lot of the time. They've got shoulder problems, elbow problems. Almost every one of them has had, a surgery of one form or another, right? And I haven't had any of that. And I feel so grateful because I really take good care of myself. It's the 90-10 rule, right? There's sometimes when I go wild, because we girls have to go wild, but we are setting the standards. So I do not want you at any point to think that you are subpar, not fantastic, not fabulous in any way. You are fabulous. And you are the role model for all around you. You are setting the standards. So you don't have to blame it on PCOS. You just have to say, I want to feel fabulous. And anything that gets in the way of that goes. Don't have any room in my life for that. So with that being said, I want to welcome our guest. I want to say hello to Jess. Hi, Jess. Hi, Paolo. And Smoriaka, Jessie, Pearl, hey. And Ada and Brittany, welcome. Great to have you here. All right, so I want to welcome our guest, the beautiful Mandy Bush. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody.
Yay. I am sure that you have seen Mandy in our community. She's been one of those guiding lights for a lot of us. She's, oh my gosh, she has done some of the coolest things in our community. In fact, I don't have that poem handy, but I don't know if you have it handy, but if you can find it, we could read it at the end.
If you give a mouse a cookie poem.
Yeah. And I might be able to find it if you can't.
I think it's on a different computer.
Okay.
I wrote that a while ago.
And we can always post it too. It is the best poem ever. The best poem ever. But Mandy, you're from Detroit, Michigan, you said?
Yes.
Cool. What's the weather like there?
It's freezing. It's bitter cold. It's cold in my house. I have 3 layers on.
Oh, gosh. Wow. What's the temperature?
0 and dropping.
Yeah, and does it get pretty windy there in Detroit?
Yes, it was windy this week. Nice and sunny today, though. So I got my walk in while it was sunny and put a scarf around my head for the wind. And
nice. Good for you for getting out there.
Sometimes it's hard.
You still have the end of your nose and
my fingers.
All those things that stick out. Yep. I've been to Detroit one time. It was for a really quick trip. It was for the National Association of Women Business Owners National Conference, sorry. And I went to Motown.
Yeah.
And here I thought it was going to be like this big, huge place. And it was a little house.
It's tiny.
Like, that's Motown? Wow, like all this amazing music came from there. And it was just this little house.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be much bigger. You're right. I think everybody's shocked, even Motowners.
Well,
thank you for visiting.
Yeah, it was really impressive. And there was this huge new museum that had just opened up, an African American Museum of History. That's just absolutely gorgeous. And we actually had a reception there. And it was just amazing. Well, great. So I want to say hi to Aspen and hello to Barbie and Destiny and Kristen. Yay. Kristen's another rock star. Jess is another rock star. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of them in our community. All right, so I'd love to hear, Mandy. I'd love for you to tell sort of your PCOS story, and I'd love for you to start at the very beginning. When you first started noticing signs and symptoms, and then some of the things that you tried, and and then, how you overcame your challenges and how you continue to overcome them, right? It's not, so one thing that we want you to know is healing from PCOS, it doesn't go like this, right? You feel really sick, you've got irregular menstrual cycles, maybe you've got a lot of weight gain, maybe you have some anxiety, maybe you've lost some hair, maybe you have some facial hair, acne. Acne was a huge thing for me, but it's not like you start there and then you just go like this and all of a sudden you're healed, right? It's not like that. It kind of is like this, right? It's just all over the place, but you keep going up, and then you're never there, right? And it doesn't matter whether you have PCOS or not. You're just, whatever health issues you have, right? You're never there. You never always feel fabulous. But when you feel fabulous, you celebrate and you want to do more of that. So the journey is a never-ending one, right? It's just sort of the journey to enlightenment. And the more we can stay in that place, the better we feel. And Mandy is the perfect person to tell us all about this. All right, you go, girl.
Robin, you're so great. I could listen to you forever. So I was diagnosed with PCOS very early on. I was 19 years old and had irregular menstrual periods my entire teenhood. Never 30-day cycles, 90 to 120-day cycles. It was not fun because I was sexually active during college with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. And I had migraine headaches. I had acne. The absence of periods was probably the worst symptom emotionally. And my lifestyle back then was very intense. I was a perfectionist. I worked around the clock. I was a 4-point+ student, the senior class vice president, the NHS president. It was ridiculous. And in college, it was more of the same. I worked full-time, went to college, and planned a wedding during all that. And basically, my exercise was an hour of very intense aerobics, whether it was swimming or running or Jane Fonda, whatever. And I was also an athlete, so that was above and beyond the sports I was playing. My diet was inconsistent, but I knew at a younger age that I did better with a little bit of protein at every meal. So, and I learned very early on what triggered my headaches as well. And that was red dye in the foods and nitrites, so basically processed foods. So I was young enough to still know how to listen to my body, but didn't have the resources around me to investigate that further, and just thought exercise and being busy and I really thought it was a part of going through puberty and beyond. I don't even think stress was that big of a topic back in the 80s and how it affected our health. So fast forward to marriage. I was on Clomid for the first 8 years of our marriage. I was on Clomid for probably 90% of that time. And it worked the 8th year. I got pregnant with our first daughter. And I really think I'm surprised, actually, that it happened, because I think the Clomid was not affecting me very much. And my second daughter, so we had a beautiful daughter, Madison. 5 years later, after being on Clomid for 2.5 years, I finally thought, this is absolutely ridiculous. I am not going to put myself through these mood swings anymore. I'm a very slow learner. And my understanding is that they don't put people on Clomid for great lengths of time like that anymore. So I actually enrolled myself into an IVF program with no doctor's permission, but I had my doctor's blessing afterwards. I just wanted to get the ball rolling. And Caitlin was conceived through in vitro fertilization 5 years after. She was born 5 years after Madison. So they're 5 years apart. So my life had this crazy stress. I was working full time, going to graduate school, raising my girls, going through fertility.
Wow.
Not really sure how we do this, right? We are rock stars, Robin. And thinking I was living healthy then because I was eating well and I've always taken vitamins. My mom was always a vegetable shopper and cooker. So we were raised on a good diet. So 18 months after Caitlin was born, our second child, we took her to her 18-month well check, and it was a Monday night, and a doctor discovered a tumor deep in her abdomen. And I was 34. I think I was 30. I don't know how old I was, mid-30s. And so then we started the next ordeal, right? She went to surgery 36 hours later. It was a miracle. The biopsy surgery turned into a total resection of a tumor.
Oh my gosh.
Which was the size of a large grapefruit. We had no idea. So we were completely blindsided. It was a neuroblastoma. So it did turn out to be cancerous and a very rare form of cancer. Generally not receptive to chemotherapy or radiation. So we were very, very scared parents. And I was out of my mind. The surgery turned out to be a total resection, like I said. So we felt really blessed that we wouldn't have to send her into another surgery, number one. And also that she survived that first surgery because it was quite long and quite extensive. The tumor was deep in her abdomen at the base of her spine. So Caitlin is now 17, almost 17 and a half years old. She's a senior in high school. I brought her senior picture. This is her.
Oh.
She's at her high school basketball game right now watching. They're playing the rival school. So for 3 years, I had horrible anxiety. So much so that it was keeping me awake at night. I'd fall asleep for about 2 hours and I'd wake up with these anxiety attacks, and my mind would just be spinning about all the concerns and worries and what ifs and should haves. Typical classic anxiety attacks, which I didn't know I was having at the time. Until 3 years into she had follow-up testing sometimes every 2 weeks, every month, every 3 months, different things, CT scans, blood, urine, and all that. So 3 years after the surgery, and we're pretty sure she's going to be fine. I went to my girlfriend, one of my angels, drove me to a yoga class. And I had taken yoga before, but this was on top of, running and killing myself after 2 hours of workout. Yoga was like my warm down, right? She took me to a 90-minute yoga class, and I slept that night for the first time in a long time. Oh. And that next day I realized, oh my gosh, I am like sick. I am suffering horribly, and I need to make some changes. So I went to yoga the next day and the next day, never missed a day for 2.5 years. and really slowed down my path. I was still in graduate school because it slowed down when Caitlin got diagnosed.
Yeah.
And for all the treatments. So slowed that down even more. And yoga saved me. And I'll never forget waking up that next morning after the good night's sleep, which ironically, sleep is a non-negotiable for our health. It's super important. So I make that a priority in my life now, sleep, along with yoga. And looking back, I know that the reason yoga was so helpful with anxiety and enabling me to manage my stress better is because it took me out of my head and into my body, even if it was for that 90 minutes a day. And I think any movement, any mindful movement, Tai Chi, walking mindfully, whatever, getting us out of our head is an issue in our society. I also think yoga, and I use yoga lightly because I don't want it to sound like it's the only thing we can do. It's just a mindful practice. And it just happened to be the one that worked for me. The timing was right.
Mandy, I have to share with you something. When I was crazy busy like you were, and I felt like I was running on the treadmill so fast that that if I stepped off, I would like fly into orbit. I was so stressed out that I found Rodney Yee.
Oh yeah.
And I got his AM PM yoga.
Yes. And
I would drive my 45 minutes, hour home from work to be, with the kids and I would at some point I was so stressed out that I had to do that 20 minutes of yoga before I could be present at home. I was just so stressed. So it's so amazing how for so many women, yoga is kind of a lifesaver.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it definitely was for me. And I have no doubt that it is for other people for similar reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're taught to do and accomplish. I think many of us are raised that way. Mm-hmm. And it's a distraction. We stop listening to our bodies, and our bodies are very wise. Our gut is more intelligent than our brain. Mm-hmm. So when we turn away from that, and when we're guided in another direction by do, go, it's a form of ignoring. It's a form of not paying attention. And I believe I had to relearn that. And I'm very grateful I have been able to relearn that, for sure. It's the mindfulness component. And any activity we can bring mindfulness to, not just yoga. Yoga is, it's embedded. The mindfulness is embedded in the yoga practice. So it's a given. And also the self-compassion. There's a lot of research on mindfulness and self-compassion just in the last 5 years on how it decreases anxiety, which is now the #1 mental health disorder. It has surpassed depression. A third of the National Institute of Health in 2016 came out that a third of young adults, teens, and adults suffer from anxiety, and almost 2/3 in college students. So it's a big issue. And mindfulness self-compassion decreases that. So My message to everybody I meet is just stop and take a breath, feel your feet, and just be mindful in any moment you can and breathe. Is it possible to do 100% of the time? No. But it's a habit that can be formed, a muscle that can be strengthened, and it's worth it. We're worth it to do that and for our families and our society.
So Mandy, I kind of interrupted you. So you found yoga and it really helped you to improve your anxiety, helped you to slow down, get more into your body and your heart instead of your head so much, helped you to go inside, as we know we do with yoga. And then what were you still suffering with once you, like, did you have any other PCOS symptoms at this time?
I did. Yes. I was still suffering from acne, not my acne, cystic acne. So it was deep and painful. Irregular periods, but they were improving, and but still could use improvement. And what else?
What about your migraines?
Yes. Thank you. Yes, migraines. So the yoga, actually, the deep breathing and the stretching and the meditation helped a lot with my migraines. I would say they improved about 75%, wow, which is huge. They would lay me out for 3 days a month from the time I was 10 years old through my 30s. When I started the Insulite program, I'm 2 whole years now. I think it's been 26 months now. And eliminating the sugar and dairy, which I had not had dairy in a long time. So eliminating that was not an issue for me because I didn't need to. That helped my skin. But it was more the sugar and refined carbs that helped my skin a lot. And I'll break out with maybe 2 pimples every 6 months, and I have them now. But I think that was from the detox, not so much the, and I did need to detox after these holidays because I'm human. Anyway, so that my periods got real regular, and I still am. Haven't started menopause yet, and my energy just feels so nice. So the worst symptoms were the last ones to go away, and they haven't gone away 100%, but they're so much better. So much better. I almost forget how bad it was, which is kind of weird because I had them for a long time. Anyway, did I answer your question, Robin?
Yes, absolutely. So what I wanted to know is so somehow you found Insulite, and I want to find out how you did, but what drove you to continue looking for a solution, a natural solution?
Oh, I have no idea how I found Insulite. I'll have to look into that. I really don't know.
So what was going on for you at the time that you looked? So 26 months ago, you still weren't satisfied with something, and you didn't want to go the medical route, so you looked for something.
Yeah, I did. I'm always looking for something, and it's so easy now. On one hand, it's easy to find information. On the other hand, there's so much information out there. It's hard to figure out what is the best package for me, right? So I was on vitamin D and omega-3s and the whole spectrum, but probably not a complete spectrum. And I was sort of just figuring out for myself what I needed. And I have no knowledge in that. So it was just kind of a crapshoot. And then when I saw this whole package, I thought, the work is done for me. I don't need to study this so much anymore. I'm studying everything else, so I can let that go and just trust. And to be honest, I don't remember how I came across it, but I'm glad I did. It's a complete package. It had the things that I liked, the ingredients that I already knew I needed, and all together and in the right ratios. Mm-hmm. So it was the ratio thing I wasn't, I was goofing around with. And I don't, if it's already done for you, why try to reinvent it yourself?
Right.
So it wasn't working, obviously, even though I had the best intention for myself.
Yeah, it's tough because that was the same for me. Like I'd figured out the nutrition piece for myself, but I couldn't quite figure out the nutrient piece. And I knew that I was missing some things because I still couldn't get my acne to go away. And what was interesting is that I went from being overweight and kind of inflamed to being underweight. So I kind of went from, I was in a hypoglycemic state both times, right? I still was insulin resistant, but your insulin and blood sugar just drop when your adrenals fall out, right? So when your thyroid is not working so great, your adrenals aren't working so great, now your blood sugar really drops because you just don't have that blood sugar regulation support anymore. So then I got too thin, like it just went completely the opposite direction. And I still had acne. So it was just like this ongoing thing of trying to figure that out. And it's a real like nutrient issue because you've got to have those raw materials for your body to function properly. And of course we have these genetic predispositions. And of course I'm, probably never going to slow down as much as I want to. It's so funny because I kind of complain about sitting on an airplane. I don't know if you have this feeling, but like I'm getting on the airplane, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to sit for, however many hours. We went to Nashville early December for our wedding anniversary, and that's like a 4.5 hour plane ride. It's kind of far, and I was like, dang. And then what's so funny is that my body really likes sitting. I don't let it sit much, but when I do, it's like, oh, everything's kind of working right. Like I'm all relaxed and my digestion is really good and I feel happy. And so, I get that little picture in my mind that I need to slow down more, but am I going to do it? That's what the yoga mat's for. Anyway, so that's cool. So our nutrients, which is what you're talking about, were formulated by a naturopathic physician quite a few years ago, and they're just a fantastic combination of nutrients to support everything from cellular energy to detox to healthier hormone metabolism to supporting insulin sensitivity. I mean, it's a crazy, amazing nutrient mix. And then over the last couple of years, we've updated a couple of the nutrients to be a better form because we're always, trying to upgrade because, science finds out that, we don't absorb a form as well as we could or whatever. So we're always trying to update to the best form of the nutrients. But yeah, so then.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I found them. I'm glad you provide them.
Yeah. So we are going to stand by while you remember, at some point, how you discovered Insulite, because that's pretty cool that you came upon us somehow.
Yeah, you might be able to figure out better than I figured out. I'll have to do some thinking about that.
Yeah, and menstrual regularity is the number one reason that women actually find us.
Oh.
So, and that's because I think, and if you're listening and you suffer from menstrual irregularity, I think it's because that's how most women get diagnosed with PCOS. is due to menstrual irregularity. And, even with all the other conditions that come along with it. So like I didn't have issues with menstrual regularity. I had I had most all of the other symptoms. Acne was, huge for me. The chronic inflammation, the brain fog, the depression, the anxiety, my mood swings were crazy, the blood sugar issues, all of that. But I didn't have menstrual irregularity. So of course I was never, diagnosed with PCOS. So that is a really big issue for women in our community. So it's great to hear that you've been able to regulate your cycles through a lot of the lifestyle changes that you've made.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. I forgot to mention too, I had very significant facial hair on my chin. And that started appearing in my 20s. And that was a big deal. But see, I forget. You forget how bad it is. That was awful. I probably spent $20,000 on electrolysis. Yeah.
And have you noticed now that that it's not coming back?
Yes, it's 90% better. The electrolysis helped, but it was, I stopped it a long time ago and still continued to have issues. I just didn't want to go through the time and expense anymore. And this has helped. For sure. It's thinner, lighter, more sparse. Still need to wax every now and then, but it's not anywhere near how it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was big for me too. Very embarrassing. I was very ashamed of that.
Yeah. I know the acne was for me. I know that I missed a lot of really special events in high school because I was so self-conscious. And I was so embarrassed, and I had it on my chest really bad, not only my face. I didn't have cystic acne, but I just had it everywhere. I had my face, my chest, my back, and I just, I was just so self-conscious. So and I'm very social, and I missed out on so many things because I just was too embarrassed.
It is embarrassing. And people with facial hair, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I used to think I was, but now I know I'm not alone. Is going outside in the sunlight. Like I would avoid that because the sun just sort of reflects off the hair. And now that you're saying that, Robin, I think I may have Googled acne and wrinkles or something like that, because I remember thinking, how unfair is that? I'm starting to get wrinkles and I still have acne. It's like, this can't be. So I'm wondering if I Googled that and found Insulite. That sort of rung a bell when you said that.
Yeah, that could definitely be. And what's so funny is that I was always really interested in anti-aging, and I'd never called it that, but I remember as a teenager, putting face cream on and making sure that I, didn't have any wrinkles, and I was diligent about that. Like even with the acne, I always had a shine on my forehead, because I always had really oily skin. It was so nice. Our older son's pediatrician said to our older son who, had cystic acne, he said, well, the good news is, he said, your skin is just going to age so much better because you have so much nice oil in your skin. Like, okay, he's finding the silver lining here.
That's the last thing your son was thinking about, right?
Exactly. Like, fix this acne or else. So I'd love to reach out to all of you listening. What questions do you have for Mandy? What are you currently struggling with? What would you like her insights on? She's so wise. This woman has years of knowledge from a lot of different areas. You have, tell us about your education. Aside from yoga, you have a master's degree in teaching, right?
Yes, a Master of Arts in Teaching, Science. And so my bachelor's is in biology.
That's right. You have background in
biology. I was a middle
biology.
school science teacher before I became a yoga teacher. Okay. And got got out of teaching when I realized that that was not serving my stress levels, and wanted to share the message that yoga gave to me.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of yoga training, meditation, mindful self-compassion, anatomy, a lot of anatomy, physiology. I love studying the research. So,
Yeah. So I wonder if you could lead us through a quick exercise. I know this is, it's not planned, so you do have the option to say no. But if there's something that comes to mind that you feel would really serve us right now, we'd love to take just a minute or two and even just breathe with you.
well, I have the, okay, I will. This is called Heartful Meditation. And because I want to make a plug for meditation, this is my one. I have several tools that I do every single day to strengthen myself up and take care of myself above and beyond the nutrients. And one of them is meditation. This is one I do when I'm traveling in the car, not driving, but if I'm a passenger in the car or if I'm just waiting and I just need to recenter. So the first thing I would like you to do is just ground down through your feet. Wherever your feet are, just feel them on the floor, on the carpeting, wherever they are. Wiggle your toes and just feel the feet pressing down. And then rub your hands together to make heat. Nice and warm. I might be here a few minutes making my hands warm. And then place your hands near your ears. You don't have to touch your ears, but so that close enough where you feel the warmth of your hands. Gently close the eyes or look down past the nose. Just allow this heat to enter the ears and feel it represent quieting down sound, quieting down all the sounds we hear all day in life. Take a deep breath in, let it out. And as you're letting it out, have the hands float in front of the face, shadowing the eyes. Perhaps the hands can be close enough where you feel heat off your hands. Feel your cheeks relax, the brow relax, the eyes relax. Quieting down sight and all the visuals we see throughout the day. Letting the eyes rest. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. As you exhale, seal the hands in prayer position. This is called Anjali Mudra, in front of the forehead. Feel the right hand press into the left hand press into the right. Let this symbolize quieting down thought. Quiet thought. Centered thought. Take a deep breath in, please. And as you exhale, hands float in front of the heart, chest. Thinking now of something you're grateful for. And honoring that the heart space is aligned with that center quiet space in our heads, the truth with a capital T. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, release the hands to the lap. And open your eyes when you're ready.
Oh my gosh, I'm so relaxed. Feels so good.
I like that because it's quick and it's very centering, very peaceful.
I want to just keep
that it was for everyone else.
Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Of course.
My gratitudes were for Mandy. So grateful that you're here, and for a beautiful community. So grateful that each and every one of you are here. So grateful. So Mandy, I would love for you to share before we close just your 3 tips. So if you were to give a woman kind of just starting out on this healing journey and just finding some natural solutions, not sure, where to start, what 3 tips would you give her? And then I found your poem.
Oh no.
And we're going to share your cute poem if that's okay with you.
Yes, of course.
And then we'll answer any questions if there are any, and then we'll end. So what 3 tips do you have?
Oh my gosh. My first tip would be to be gentle with yourself. And that's big. So how to be gentle with yourself is slow down if you need to slow down, get moving if you need to get moving. Find that happy medium, right? That Goldilocks zone. The gentleness goes to number 2. Find a way where you can be self-compassionate with yourself, where we're replacing the negative comments with positive ones. I can do this. This is hard, but I am strong. So we don't want to ignore the hard things in life, the stress in life. It'll always be there, but we got this. We can be resilient with one another. So have self-compassion for yourself first, and know that you're normal. Nothing's wrong with you. Third is breathe mindfully. Whenever you think of it, take a mindful breath. That will be your link to your body, and pretty soon your body will be speaking to you and you'll be able to listen to it. It's physiologically, a lot is going on when you breathe mindfully. You're shutting down the sympathetic nervous system, and you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is super important for our hormones. And it's an easy tool to breathe mindfully. So those are my 3 tips. I probably have 50 more.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great start. I always say our short breaths that we take throughout the day are really what causes a lot of stress in our bodies. And I'm queen of, not breathing during the day, so I can speak from experience. But it's a great, when you go to the bathroom, it's a great time to remember to breathe because you're all by yourself and you have to sit there, right? And so just take 5 breaths or do this little practice that Mandy just showed us, and it'll just restore you in a really powerful way. I mean, it's almost like a mini adrenal reset, which is so important. Like, it's so cool. And if you just remember to do it when you go to the bathroom, oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
And if you're drinking a lot of water and going to the bathroom a lot,
I know, like every hour, you've got it. You've got it. I wanted to reach out to Jess Burke. If you're still on, she mentioned that others are starting to see a difference since I've been on this. So since she's been on the Insulite 5-element system in eating and in hormones. So that's so cool, Jess. And if you could just write a little comment, maybe what people are noticing, like when you say, in eating and in hormones. So they're noticing what you're eating. I mean, you have seen some tremendous changes, Jess. So I would just love to see what others are noticing. And it's so cool because when you start to show up in a bigger way, like everybody around notices. I remember there was that ad, like when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, or something like that. You know, it's when you show up in your power, you know, people listen, right? And so you are just really rocking it, and we're just so great to see that. Okay, so we're gonna now bless you with Mandy's beautiful poem. And I'll have to read it because I don't know how I can share this with you. Maybe you can do it. Well, let's see. Let me just see here. Yeah, I don't think I can send it to you. Do you have access to your well, I'll read it. You can read it with me because you'll remember as I'm going.
Okay.
Okay, she says this sums it up, and I can't remember when you put this together. Was it in like the Freedom from PCOS program or something?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So it was a spoof on a popular children's book, which was If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. And I'm going to have to get that.
So if there's a couple different ones. If you give a moose a muffin, if you give a moose a muffin.
So yeah, so this could be if you give me a cookie, if you give me a muffin, it'll work for anything. So so she says, if you give me a cookie, then I will want another one. Oh my gosh, was that me? If you give me another cookie, then I'll want milk. If you give me cookies and milk, I'll feel greasy and get zits. If you give me cheese, then I'll want crackers. If you give me crackers, then I'll want wine. If you give me wine, toss, turn, pee, and snore. Then I will wake up groggy and want coffee. And I'll add fat to that. I would wake up groggy, fat, and want coffee. If you give me coffee, then I want cream. If you give me cream, then I will want chocolate. If you give me chocolate, then I will want more chocolate. If you give me sugar, flour, dairy, caffeine, alcohol, or things I can't pronounce, I feel like crap. That's the whole FLC thing, right? Please give the friggin' cookie to the mouth. That is so awesome. That's the absolute best. It's the bomb.
I'm glad you brought that up this week, Robin, because I've forgotten all about that.
Just it's really awesome. So we'll keep bringing it up. And Mandy has other great quotes that I won't bring up tonight because I think I embarrass her a lot of the time. But it's been so great having you here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful, and I'm just so happy to be part of the community where we're all like in this together, and when somebody's having a good day, other one's having a bad day, and we can support each other no matter what.
Absolutely. It's not a straight line, right? And no. We all run into our problems, and the New Year's detox really saved me too. So I'm just so grateful to have these tools at our fingertips that we can use to get right back on track.
Yes.
All right. Take good care of your sister friend, and I will see you in our VIP Inner Circle and other beautiful places. And I will also announce our winner in just a little bit. And thank you to all of you for joining in today. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. So I'm going to play our little outro music, and take good care, everyone. Bye, Mandy.
Bye. Namaste.
Today on the Insulite Health PCOS Inspiration Hour. Mark your calendar now for Inspiration Hour next month.